in Hawaii.
Dude, I'm gonna.
Good. Stay
I'm
there.
gonna be a
How's it going, guys? My name's Wes. I play guitar and do vocals in a band called The Worst of Us. And apparently I'm talking too loud for my cat right now. But today I'm going to tell you the worst story that I have from touring. So let's go! We're going on tour in, I want to say maybe like May or June, around that time. And it was our second tour, and it was due to be about 2 weeks long. Our first tour was about the same length. This time we were going to a bunch of other cities that we had not gone to the first time, and we had hyped it up for so long. We were all excited about it. And the drummer in our band, we're going to call him Brody because that's his name. And he had got like a short bus, that's what we call it. We called it a short bus. It's just like it's for like private schools use them for transportation, typically to like events or like sporting events, or like school events, things like that. But he had got one secondhand for really cheap, so we went ahead and he went ahead and renovated the whole thing, got it all fixed up with his friend who is a mechanic, a very trustworthy mechanic according to him. And he got it all fixed up. He was a carpenter by trade, so he built 2 bunk beds inside of the short bus. And so basically he put a ton of work into this vehicle. And we had hired a photographer, and we got all loaded up. We all met together, loaded up our little short bus for the journey. The tour was booked to be basically like Massachusetts to Florida and back, so it was an East Coast tour of the United States. So we got in the short bus and we started heading towards our first destination, which was Sophomore Slump Fest in Durham, North Carolina. So I believe it was about maybe an 8-hour drive probably to get to Durham. So we went on our way. We left about 2 days early because we had a place to stay in the area. The guy that booked our tour, our booking agent, who was our very close friend at the time, also told us to come down, stay, and hang out for a little bit before the festival. And we were gonna help him out, and it was gonna be a good time. We were gonna have a little bit of partying beforehand, So we started going, and we stopped for food, I think, in New Jersey, and we camped out in a Walmart parking lot. I had brought a small charcoal grill, and I fired up the charcoal grill, and I made burgers for everybody in a Walmart parking lot. So it was us, me, Brody, Matt, who does vocals in the band too, and our photographer. We left the Walmart parking lot, and we were driving for about maybe 30 minutes. This was in New Jersey, so we were about 5 hours in maybe, and about 3 or 4 left to go to get to our destination. And then Brody starts going, whoa, 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 whoa. Brody is driving the car. And he starts going, guys, the car's overheating. The car's overheating. The van's overheating. I don't know what to do. Oh, and he immediately starts panicking, which is kind of his MO. So the rest of us were trying to get him to calm down. Luckily, we had some engine coolant on us, and we pulled over and started pouring engine coolant in, and it started coming right out. So we were 5 hours from home, about 4 hours from our destination, maybe 3, and the car was overheating and not taking any coolant. If you don't know how vehicles work, basically you need the coolant fluid running through the engine correctly, otherwise the engine will just completely overheat and you can blow a head gasket and completely ruin the engine. And he had invested a pretty good amount of money in this vehicle, so he was particularly bothered by this whole thing. So we kind of just sat there on the side of the road, kind of being like, oh God, what do we do? And we looked up the nearest car repair place, and we went there while we wasted basically, I don't know, maybe 3 gallons of water just because we ran out of coolant eventually. So we started pouring water into the radiator, and yeah, pretty bad. So we were just pouring water every, like, maybe we could drive for about 5 or 6 minutes, and we would let it cool down for 30 to 40 minutes, and then we keep driving. And eventually we rolled up to a car repair place, and they took the vehicle. They did the repairs necessary on it. This was, we were at the car repair place for maybe 4 or 5 hours, sorry. And yeah, they did the repairs and they tested it a bunch and it was still overheating. So we kind of went into full panic mode because we were out far from our homes rather. We had a show in a couple days, and our vehicle had just about, exploded. So we got the repairs done. Eventually it got to the point where it wasn't overheating every 5 seconds, but during this time, one of the managers had come out to us. One of the managers of the car repair place came outside and he was like, "Hey, you guys in a band?" He's like, "You know what? I play music too." So this guy proceeded to show us his $200 Squier Telecaster that he had just purchased, that he was all excited about, and told us that he was playing guitar now and it was his first year playing, and he was all hype on music and whatever. It was pretty funny. It was some good comic relief for our situation. But we got the repairs done. The vehicle was good to go. We were so nervous about it that the thing the thing freaking, make sure you beep that bleep that out. The car, it stunk. I'll never get that smell out of my head of just like burning coolant, of just like superheated burning coolant. It was just like the worst smell ever, and it was just through the entire vehicle. Just like, it just smelled like burnt food if you just like poured gasoline on it and then lit it on fire. It was just like, ugh, the worst smell ever. It just smelled like death. And now I'm like thinking about the smell. I can't get it out of my head now. But we got the repairs done. We were all so nervous about the whole thing that, we were just like, we're so stressed. We ended up just saying, "F this, we're gonna have to, frick this, we're gonna have to cancel the tour." And I was so frustrated, so defeated by the whole thing. Brody, the drummer and the owner of the car, was saying, "Hey, we should go, we should do it." And I was so not confident in this vehicle because he had said over and over that, "It's okay, man, it's okay, the car's good, I promise, my mechanic looked at it, I promise it's good." So at this point I had no trust in mechanics in general, and I didn't trust this thing at all. I had no confidence in it getting all the way to Florida and back without having some issues. And God, what would happen if we were in Florida or something and then this happened and we had a show the next day? It just would not be acceptable. And I did not have confidence that the vehicle would get us through tour. Neither did the vocalist in my band, so we decided to go all the way home. So we got back in the car and just hoped for the best. Watched the coolant gauge, the temperature gauge, and we we went all the way back home after all of that, and we got back, unloaded all of our gear, and we sadly all got back into our cars, and we headed home. And that was probably one of the worst days of my life that I can think of. I've never been like more defeated by something. I've never just been like more like, oh wow, like the universe really doesn't want me to be a musician. The universe really is really saying no, this isn't going to happen. And I think the rest of the guys probably felt the same way. The photographer that we had hired came all the way from Florida to travel with us. He drove his vehicle all the way from Florida to travel with us. So he went all the way back home, and yeah, it was a pretty big disaster, big defeat. But the next day, around probably maybe 6 p.m. the next day, I got a call from the vocalist in my band, and he said, "Dude, I rented a 12-passenger Ford Transit," which is like a band van, basically, the most basic band van you can get. He said, "Meet me at our studio. We're going to load up, and we're going on tour, baby." And I said, I was literally telling him, I was like, no, dude, I had already accepted it. I had already accepted that, we failed. I accepted that, it was never going to happen. So I told him no at first. I said, nah, dude, let's just throw in the towel and wait till we have a better opportunity that's, less money, less stressful, because it is very expensive to rent a Ford Transit vehicle for 2 whole weeks. It is extremely expensive. Touring in general is expensive, but renting a vehicle is something completely different. It costs a lot of money to rent big cars like that. There's a lot of liability involved. It's pretty tough. It's a tough way to do it. But after he said, he talked me into it, he somehow got me to agree to it, and we said, all right, let's go. So we met later that day, and we went on our way. And we didn't have a photographer the whole time, so we couldn't really document the whole thing, unfortunately. That was the one downside about this particular tour, among many other things, which I'd be happy to get into in another video. But I definitely wanted to get this one down in a video because it's a good testament to a lot of things that can go wrong when you're a touring musician, especially when you're not on a label and you're not getting paid to, pay for a vehicle. No one's like, we paid everything out of pocket. So it was pretty disastrous, It was pretty disheartening, pretty discouraging. But, we rented that vehicle. We went on the whole tour, the three of us in our band, and we made it happen despite all that garbage that happened. But man, was that difficult. It was a tough one. And I definitely have a lot more stories. There's some bug flying around my head right now. Get out of here. But I have a whole lot more stories. So that's just one, probably the worst out of all of my bad tour stories. But that's definitely the worst thing that I've had to deal with on tour, that my band has had to deal with. So yeah, that's it. That is the exploding van story. That is the overheating disaster short bus story. And you know what? It would have been great because Brody really did take the time. He built 2 bunk beds in there. They were great. It was comfortable. It would have been perfect for touring. The damn thing just couldn't go 10 feet without exploding, unfortunately. And yeah, make sure if you're going on tour, you got a vehicle that's not going to explode. Make sure that a lot of people take a good look at it and make sure that it's functional. That's my lesson to you from this one, alright? That's my lesson. Again, my name is Wes. I play in a band called The Worst of Us. I play guitar and I do vocals. I do vocal covers on Instagram. My Instagram handle will show up at the end of this. You can listen to my band, The Worst of Us, at all streaming services, on all streaming services. Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Google Play, all that stuff. We got bunch of stuff coming up for you. We just dropped a new single called Existential Days, which you can listen to on all streaming platforms as well. And we have plenty of more music and plenty more to come for you. So keep your eye on that, and I will see you in the next video. I'll catch you next time, guys. Peace. What's up, Georgia? It's me and Malong.